Right, just gonna check to see if the stream is actually working. Looks like it is. Sweet. All right, it's 2:57, so I'll get started right at 3 p.m. I'll try not to ramble too much on this one, but no guarantees, because there is a lot I think I'm gonna unravel, because I built this in 2019 and I literally have not touched much of it since. So let's see. I'm actually like kind of afraid that there's going to be some nightmare stuff I'll find. I did remember that I used liquid metal on this thing, and it's been like about over 4 years since I looked at it, so I have no idea what the condition is of that actual liquid metal part. And yeah, I hope it works out. I hope I don't damage anything while I'm taking it apart too, because there are definitely some parts in here that I want to reuse for my newer cases. But it's interesting because I've owned this thing for a while, and back then I would keep it underneath my desk, so I barely saw it. And then when I made my corner gaming desk in the garage, it's also kind of underneath. It has its own like platform for it. And then so again, like I barely saw it, but seeing it in front of me, it's actually quite cool. And I just remembered how hard it was to like polish this thing. Ugh, I hate sanding. Hate sanding, but it worked out. I mean, it's not the best job. I could definitely make it shinier, but for what it was, I think it was pretty good. Like I was doing it in my apartment, and I had like no actual workshop, so I could only do so much without power tools. Like a lot of it was just hand polishing. And if you are in here and there's issues with the audio, let me know, and I'll see if I can fiddle with settings and whatnot. I did check the recording, so I shouldn't have issues like I had last time, but you never know. All right, just a few more moments, and then we'll get started. But it should be exciting for everyone. Like I know like a lot of people are going on vacation soon because of the holidays, so I hope that everyone's doing well out there. All right, so it's 3 o'clock. And we can get this started. So I'll try not to ramble too much, but let's get it started. So basically, I want to take apart this PC because there are parts I want to use for my future builds and also my main build. And we're going to start off with the removal of the panels. So this is the, actually, background. So this is the Sliger SM570, and they have a 580 as well, which is a little wider, that can accommodate for 280 millimeter radiators. But I chose a smaller one because I wanted a smaller one. Now, give me 1 second. Actually, I have like a text or something. No, I shouldn't do that. Okay, that was, should not be distracted. Okay. And at the time, this has a 9900K in it. It's got a RTX 2080 Ti, and everything is water cooled. So at the time, this was like pretty darn high end. Like I don't think I probably would have had to go with like some sort of like server grade to get more performance out of the current hardware. So yeah, it was really cool. I've never actually had like an all-out high-end system before, and this was my kind of first time. And it was also the first time I've spent more than like $100 on a case. I don't remember how much I paid for this, but I do remember it was like a pre-order from Sliger. I think they didn't even offer the raw aluminum when they finally did have more units coming out. That was past the pre-order. And yeah, it was really neat. My original plan was to actually just like paint it like some color that I liked, but it's just really neat to see it in like chrome, like not chrome, but polished aluminum. So it's pretty fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and start dismantling this thing. So first off is the front panel, and everything kind of just slides out. It's got, let me just change the camera so maybe I can show different stuff at the same time. It's got these posts that slide into some slots and they kind of just snap on. So like there's no magnets or anything. They just kind of press in and then they come off. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna put that over there. And the side panels are the same way. Essentially, you just gotta pull them off. That one's a little harder than the front, but it's off now. And then let me go ahead and switch it around. Actually, before we start, maybe I'll put back the panel. Let me just show you. I mean, in some of my photos, I don't really show it with the lighting on. So let me go ahead and do that actually, because this is going to be the last time I see it the way it is. And just for memory's sake, I think we should do it, because then we can kind of harken back to the fun times when it had all the stuff in it. Now I'm only going to leave this on for a little bit because in actuality what really drove the dismantling of this PC was the pump finally died. And in honest truth, I'm like so surprised of how long the pump lasted. Maybe my lighting is too bright in here. Let me turn off some lights so you can kind of see, because I did want like subtle lighting. I didn't want like crazy RGB on it. You can barely even see it. It's also like doing the memory testing right now, so yeah, so it's got like a super low glow to it. And it hasn't been turned on in a while, so I think it's doing the memory reconfiguration stuff. And yeah, it's just got like a really slow glow to it. And the other side kind of has the same thing, but not much lighting. Not the biggest fan of RGB, but it's also just, you know, it is fun to play with the lighting though. So let me go ahead and turn this off before it overheats, and it does overheat actually. When I didn't know the pump was dead or dying, I remember I turned on like Apex Legends, and then my game was like running at like 10 frames per second. I don't know what's going on over here. I thought I had like a virus or something, but no, it was just the computer basically was just thermal throttling. And yeah, I mean, luckily it didn't like crash and melt, but I mean, it was there. Like I looked at the logs to see the temperature of the CPU and the GPU, and it actually hit like 90 degrees, so that was not good for it. But let's see, what's the first thing we can do? We definitely need to drain the loop. But I think what I'll try to do is remove everything I can before doing that. And so let's start off with the wires. There's a lot. Maybe here. I think the lowest hanging fruit to take apart would be like the cheapo little RGB strip I have over here. And I think it should just pop off there. And then on the other side, and these are just, they have adhesive on them, but I think the only one I even used for it with adhesive was this one here, but for the most part, it does have magnets on it, so it just like sticks to the radiator. And let me just snake it on the other side now. And so Skyward, you're asking why exactly are you dismantling it? Oh, that sucks. So you are doing a completely new build, or what's the plan going forward? So it probably won't be a completely new build, because like a lot of my builds now have been kind of like hybrid, and that there's no permanent build. Besides the PC that I'm streaming on right now, that's like that. I am not touching that because everything's just kind of set. And I do my video editing on there too. Well, used to. I mean, I haven't done some video editing in a while, and I do apologize for that. But I do have some future cases, Skyward King, that where I want to utilize the rads here and the power supply. Because right now, this is the Corsair SF 750. Really nice power supply. I know there's a newer version now, but this is the old version, but it's still awesome. I think it's still the king. And right now I have an SF 600 in my gaming PC, and I've been reluctant to actually like push the system. Push by push I mean like having higher overclocks, or at least just increasing the power limit. So when I did have it in the ATX build in one of my videos, it was being powered by like a 1,000 watt ATX power supply, and that was a lot of fun because I was able to kind of at least increase the power limit, and you do see the gains, especially because in that particular ATX build I'm thinking about, it was also water cooled, and so it was just like ideal to do that. And lately I've been hesitant to actually push the system because it's running off of a 600 watt, and I think it's kind of pushing it. But yeah, I mean, if you have any more questions, just throw them out, because that's what we're here for. So remember the first time I posted this, it was just like question after question, but I mean, you can only answer so much. But now that we're here, feel free to ask. All right. Well, actually, one funny but sad story. Where did I put it? Where did I put that thing? Oh, here it is. Okay. So this is an RGB light that was a part of the GPU block from Barrow. And so I told you that my pump was dying, and then it finally died, because before I could kind of just like restart and it'll finally turn on, but now it's just like not turning on anymore. And so like I think yesterday night I was kind of fiddling around just to see if I can like give it like one last little try before like I officially just say it's dead. And then so I was like unplugging, replugging some fans, and then the pump as well. And then I noticed there was just like a spare connector, and it's hard to see it here, but basically it's like the same connector you see on fans. So it's like a 3-pin, and it'll fit into the motherboard. And I plugged it in, and I was like, oh, nothing happened. And then I have a connector that I can just plug into the wall to like turn on a fan without the PC, and I put that in too. So essentially I was pumping 12 volts through this connector, not knowing it was attached to a 5-volt RGB light stick. And so I think this is like, I mean, I don't know, it's not think, this is 100% dead now. And so I think I killed it like the moment I plugged it in. I mean, it really sucks because, like having the RGB, I don't always turn it on, but it's always nice to have the option. And then now I removed that option. And Tech G says, hello from Brazil. Hey, what's up, man? Or person, I don't know. But yeah, Brazil. I was supposed to go there like, I think like 2 years ago, but I don't know what happened. I was supposed to go there for a wedding, and I think it just fell through, but I still want to go there. And then I don't know how appropriate it is, but one of my plans in Brazil was to go like down the Amazon rainforest and then do that thing where you like meet up with like a tribe chieftain and then do some fun stuff. But I think maybe that plan's gone now, because I don't know if I even want to try that stuff anymore. I'm not gonna say what it is, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. All right, let's continue dismantling this thing. I said no rambling, and here I am rambling. Okay, so most of the power actually is just the 24-pin, 8-pin, and then the 2 GPUs. But I did add in like a serial ATA connector here, and that actually powers the fan controller that's in here, because obviously this is an ITX board and they don't really have the most fan connectors. And so I have 4 fans, and so you definitely need to have like a hub or of some sort to power them all. And so let's see, I've unplugged that. What else can I unplug over here? Okay, so let's just deal with this. So let's see if I can take off the serial ATA connector here. Okay, so now that's gone. And so this is it is a modified cable. So I think these are like the cables from the the non-platinum, because this SF750 is a platinum power supply, but prior to that I did have an SF450, and I actually took those cables because I liked them more, and I just modified them. So this serial ATA cable, it's actually really nice because the way it comes off, like there's a little cap here, and if you take that off, you have access to the connectors on the serial ATA connector, and you literally just like slide on the connector, and basically it just like it's so easy to mod if you have one of these like 90-degree serial ATA cables. And then Skyward King says, "I know what you're talking about. LOL. We're planning on traveling to the spiritual realm." Yeah, you know what I'm talking about then. All right, so this is the cable. I'm gonna put this over here and just continue dismantling this thing. What else can I do? So I've got, I guess I used a lot of twist ties in this thing, and like I don't know why I didn't use zip ties. Maybe I thought that it was going to be like temporary, because a lot of my builds during that time were temporary. I mean, they're temporary now even. It's just like constant tinkering that I'm doing, and so let's get these twist ties out. Why is it so hard? Oh, you know what? I think it was like pressed up against the fan controller. Okay, what else can we do? We can probably take off the USB 3.0 that's attached to this front panel, and it's also got twist ties. My gosh, all the twist ties. Do you all use twist ties in your builds, or is it just me? Man. All right. How did I even do this? Okay. I think we're gonna find like millions of twist ties. Here, I'm just finding another one again. That's like the tiniest little twist tie ever. Unless I just broke one, but what was it holding? It was holding, oh, it was holding the fan cables. Interesting. All right, so I think I can start getting to the, it's hard to see on camera, but there is a fan controller that's inside here. I think I can get it out now since I got rid of the connectors. Or maybe it's not going to come out because it's got fans connected to it. But let me see if I can remove the fans. There should be 4. So there's 1, and there's 2, 3. Nope. Well, I might have to. I'm afraid to tilt it because the reservoir. I mean, it is a sealed system and there is a reservoir, but I'm not sure if the reservoir will spill out. And it shouldn't, but you don't know. Oh my gosh. It probably has a bunch of zip ties again there. Let's see. Where's that cable? Okay. I think we got them all out now. Or was I lying? It feels like we got them all out. It's definitely stuck to something. Yep. Let's see. Man, how did I even build into this thing in the first place? It's so tight. I'm gonna be mad if I only put this in like afterwards and there's something actually blocking it. Oh, you know what? There is. I almost forgot that there's a an RPM sensor in there. Okay, so let's take that off. I'm gonna take off these the 8-pin CPU as well, and I actually can't get to the 24-pin yet, so we'll deal with that later. But I will remove this power and reset switch. What else can we do? Let's see. Oh, more twist ties. My gosh. You know, I had a pair of like clippers ready to get rid of zip ties, but I didn't realize it was all just twist ties. Okay, so that's connected to what? There's so many weird things in here. Okay, so this must be the audio cable. Yes, I think that's the audio cable that I've snaked through the PCI Express riser cable. Okay, I think we've almost freed it. But now, okay, I think we did. There's another twist tie there. If you're just joining, I'm just essentially just trying to dismantle this thing as best I can. It's been way too long since I've looked at it, and so it's all kind of like a mystery to me too. I should have logged when I built it, but sometimes, well, back then I wasn't really logging all my builds. It was mainly just getting them done and playing games. But since I've started the channel, I figured why not show some of this stuff, because off camera I would have been doing this anyway, so why not show it to anyone who's interested. So here we are. So this is the audio USB-C and USB-A board that Sliger uses. I am curious if it's like their own design or they just borrowed one from like China or something, but yeah, I mean, it was neat. It was nice to have the USB-C in the front. Really useful for a lot of the new stuff nowadays. And so now let me see if I can grab the fan connector out. But you know what? I don't think I have a feeling I routed it behind the motherboard. Man, this is going to be an interesting teardown, because I honestly don't know how I did a lot of these things. I'm assuming I could probably take off this riser cable now, and maybe it'll like free up some of the stuff, because I know that I have the power cable here like snaked around it. So let me go ahead and remove. This is the power cord extension, and I think getting it out of the way will help us with the other stuff, because it is kind of bulky. And of course, I have more twist ties. Alright, you know, I think I'm getting fed up with these twist ties, or trying to save them, so I'm just going to snip them off. Goodbye, twist tie. Okay, cool. Oh, look, there's a zip tie in here though. Let me see if I can get that out. Maybe I just gave up on zip ties. Alright. So now, this is actually pretty heavy. I think I weighed it once and it was like 20 pounds. Like, this isn't, it's small, but it's not light. There's a lot of hardware in here. Because the water block for the GPU alone is like pretty darn heavy. Take this off. And I don't remember, but Sliger does provide like a bunch of versions of how to close this hole, because they even have one where I think where the cable just kind of hangs out like this, but I opted for the one that was mounted. And I don't know why someone would choose the one that hangs out. That's like a weird look. But maybe they just like it that way. They like it weird. And another zip tie in here. That's hefty. Hello, chat. How's it going, John? If you look above in the chat, John, I was mentioning a possible trip to Brazil and how I wanted to go on a little adventure. And the person who had brought it up knew what I was talking about. You probably know what I'm talking about too. Okay, so now I'm just trying to snake this power cord out, and it's kind of like wedged in the water cooling tubes. And now I'm actually asking myself, did I put all the electronics in and then fill it up? Or did I fill it up first and then put in all the electronics? Because, well, I guess either way it's going to be really tight in here. I mean, obviously, it's like just a small case with a lot of stuff going on inside it. Yeah, it was Skyward. Well, Skyward, is that little trip like pretty expensive? I don't think it is. The people I've met who talked about it, like we used to do a lot of traveling, and I would stay at hostels, and I was in Peru, and like this person was talking about it, and he said it was almost like nonchalant, like super chilly, like they decided at like last moment. So maybe it's like a tourist thing that just everyone does. I don't know. But yeah, so here's the power cord finally out. You can see how I bent it to like make it work in there. It is quite long for being inside here. Like the power supply is just right here. And then look at how far it goes out. That's pretty far, but I do like the power cords they use, Sliger. These are pretty low profile. I bought some right angles from like Amazon, and they were not as low profile as this. So this is pretty sweet. So this actually might end up being used for a future build. All right, so we've got the power cord out. We did free up some valuable space, but let me actually go ahead and remove the RAM. And then for RAM here, it's not like super high-end RAM. I think it's only like a PC like 3200, but it is like 32 gigs. I think at the time, many of the high-end builds had 32 gigs, but like I've never had that much RAM before. So that was really fun to like kind of boost it up. Because I think even now like some minimum gaming specs for like still using 16 gigs. And so these are G skills. And let's see, what is the value? So it is like 3200 at 16. So it's not that bad. It could be better, like if it was like 36, but I forget now what the what that specific RAM was that everyone wanted at the time. I can't remember anymore, but I know it was like Micron or something, Micron something. I don't know the number anymore, but I thought these were it, and I was totally wrong. All right, so we're getting there. We've got almost access to the 24. This is the power switch. Let me see if I can snake it out of here. It's so, let's see. It's so crazy that you can fit water cool units in that small case. So freaking cool. Yeah, like when Slager made this in 2000 whatever, like it was pretty amazing. And that's what got me excited to buy it. I don't think they make this case anymore, which is kind of sad. But I mean, I guess maybe it just didn't work out for them. And hopefully they have a comeback. Okay, let's see. I'm kind of struggling here because there's just so much. I'm going to see if I can remove one of these GPU cables. Because I remember I did use the GPU cables to kind of... like imagine there was like one cable and I used a GPU cable underneath it to kind of hug it up. Because as you see down here, there's really not that much space. And so... that kind of goes back to the story of why this is being dismantled at all, because the pump I'm using is kind of like garbage. I remember when I bought this pump, it was only meant to be used when I'm cleaning up new water cooling parts, because normally when you buy water cooling parts, sometimes they have like junk from like the factory, like solder and stuff, but because of the pump options I had at the time, I just couldn't fit anything else but this one here. Like at one point, I had like a Alpha Cool pump that was like situated over here, but it was just like too weak. And so I had to resort to using this this pump I got from eBay. I don't even know the brand. When I'm looking back at my emails to see what kind of brand it was, eBay doesn't really keep much records of that kind of stuff, and so I don't even know what it was, to be honest. And man, this cable is not wanting to come out. Kind of struggling here with this thing. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can just remove the cables from this side of the GPU. And again, so this is the RTX 2080 Ti. Even today, it's pretty good. Like I think it's like upper mid-range. And so you can definitely still play a lot of games. I mean, I have the RTX 3080 now, and obviously it's a better card, but for some of the games I play, like you barely notice the difference at all. Like I play a lot of Apex Legends, and with the RTX 2080 Ti and the RTX 3080, there's really not much difference in my opinion, like based on what I've seen. But I also don't have like the highest frame rate monitor. I only have it's only like 120 hertz. But yeah, I'm sure if I played like Overwatch or something where like we would be hitting higher frame rates, that would become like an actual thing. But I don't really play Overwatch. And if you play Overwatch, let me know if like what kind of setup you have, because I know that like that's one of the games that people can really push. So right now I'm removing the bottom motherboard screw, because like I said before, I think I might have routed the fans underneath the motherboard to basically tidy it up and also gain more clearance. So I'm going to see if I can remove the fan cables now that the motherboard is not fully secured in. And it looks like I did, but it's also not coming out. You know what? Let's deal with that later. You know, I really wish that. So there's one thing. So whenever I'm designing my cases now, I do provide, I think, at least like 5 millimeters in between the motherboard and the power supply because of this reason right here. So I actually can't even put my finger in here to get to the little locking latch. And I think I even used like, yeah, something like this to get access to it. Let's see. I think this could work. So right now I'm just pressing on the little latch, hoping I'm disengaging the little hook that keeps it in there. But also could be a user error in that I made I made my custom cables just way too short. You know, I was just kind of afraid that like I didn't have enough space to fit everything in, and so I was trying to make everything as short as possible. And there you are. It's free. The 24 pin is free. Nice. Let me see if I can snake this GPU cable from the back. Maybe I can see it from the camera, or for the camera. So I got this one cable here that was connected, but I have disconnected it. I don't think it can go behind. It is definitely loose, but maybe I'll wait for that. You know, I was planning on taking this handle off, but I think it's going to stay on because I keep having to move it around so much. And it was really neat because when I received this case, it came raw. And let me actually show you. I know I said I wouldn't ramble, but I ended up having to get extra side panels from Sliger for this build because the panels had kind of like a bend to them. And so we tried out different panels, but I think at the end of it though, there is just like a slight bend to these things, because this was, I think, the first one. The first one definitely has way bigger bend. It's really hard to see on camera, but if you can see, the case started off like this, like super matte piece, and so it took a while to actually like polish this thing. And the way I did it was I just started off with some, I think I started off with like 120 grit on here, because there is they did sand it with like an orbital sander, and so the main purpose was just getting rid of the scratches. Yeah, so I think I started off with 120 grit, and I think I went all the way up to like, I want to say like 800 grit before I put polish on there. So if you ever want to do that, if you have money, just pay someone else to do it, because it is not fun. It's kind of messy too, actually. Like when you're doing the polish, the stuff kind of just gets everywhere. It's not fun. Okay, so right now I think I'm trying to take off the cable for the CPU. All right, so now we've got the 8-pin cable out. So that was quite hard. I'm just gonna put them over here. Actually, I'll put them over here so you can see them on camera. Like, it is just fun to see just how short they are. So again, this is the serial ATA that powers the fan hub, and this is the 8-pin for the CPU. And I'm gonna somehow, wow, how can I even get to that? So now I have to get rid of this this cable for the 24-pin, but I don't know if I can get it without dismantling the the power supply, because it's like kind of in there, and I can't fit a finger. Like, you know, I think I have to drain it and get rid of the tubes. So let's do that now. This is not going to be fun. Well, it's just exhilarating because I don't want to spill water all over it, and there's a high chance it'll happen. So I got these little stubby Wi-Fi antennas that I use for some of my builds. It's really neat. It's like a little tiny antenna. I think there is definitely like a performance drop, but I haven't noticed it. But I also don't really use many of my systems with Wi-Fi. Like, even the streaming system now, it's pretty far away from the outlet for the RJ45, but I have like a long cable because I don't want to use wireless for it. And when I'm gaming, I don't use wireless, so I'm sure there's a drop to these little tiny antennas compared to like the big ones, like what's on this thing over here. There's a pretty big, well, you can't even see it, but there's a big antenna over there. And actually I can just move this out of the way. Yeah, so if you can see, this PC has like pretty large antenna on it, and I'm sure those perform better than the little tiny guys I just showed you. All right, so I want to drain this loop, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to place a pan over here, and I've got these old like MakerBot filament boxes. This is I think ABS. But what's crazy about this, I don't know if they just round it up, but they call it 1.8 millimeters, and I haven't opened this before, and maybe it is 1.7. They just rounded up because this is like way back when. Like, I want to say this is like maybe like 2015 or something. So it could just be like wet noodles at this point because it's been so long. But yeah, I just have it because I'm a hoarder, I guess, and I need to actually try to see if they even work. If anyone's ever used filament that old, let me know if it's even worth my time. All right, so what I'm gonna do is grab the PC, lay it over these, and just start dismantling some of the hose so that the water will drain out, and hopefully by doing so I can get rid of the GPU, because right now with the GPU out I could have access to some more of those cables. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. If I could even, is it long enough? Okay, I think it's long enough. That's kind of sketch. All right, man, I don't even know where to begin on this. Maybe I should, I guess I'll just reach underneath here and then kind of unscrew stuff. If I can even do, I can't even do it with my fingers. All right, let me see. Oh, I guess I gotta use a screwdriver. It's pretty tight. Oh, you know what? No, let me go ahead and actually, so right now I'll just show what's happening. So to make this case work, obviously I'm using normal like compression barbs over here, but I also have this kind of 90-degree fitting from, I think, coolants, and because I needed it because I didn't realize just how much or how little room I had between the GPU and the side panel, and so these two fittings here actually held up this build for like quite a while until they got shipped. And But they were a lifesaver. Like I'm not sure if there's any newer fittings that are like more lower profile than that. But at the time, there was nothing else as low profile as these. So what I'm going to do right now is just loosen up this fitting just enough so that I can at least like pull it out when I want. But so right now I'm just getting rid of the compression ring and then pulling it back. So I haven't actually taken off the tube, but without the compression ring, I should be able to just pull out that that tube now. But let me go ahead and, ooh, hold on. So right now I tried to loosen this up, but it actually ended up turning the entire thing. So I think this one's going to be quite finicky to get out. So let me go ahead and, so I have this tube here that's, this tube here should be ready to get pulled out now. So let's go ahead and try that. Okay, I'm going to lay this down here. And see if I can find that tube and hopefully pull it out. All right, so we've got leakage. She's juicing. Actually, at one point too, I didn't quite show it, but you know, even with all the years I've been using this, the water was still pretty clear. I'll show it when it's done draining a little bit more, but like I was even surprised that the GPU didn't have too much crap all over it. So I'm really stoked about that. And all I used was like distilled water and biocide. Like I don't really use like coolant anymore. Maybe just like old school like that, but definitely just use distilled water and biocide. I mean, at the end of the day, that's probably the best combo. I mean, I remember like I've been water cooling for quite a while, and I remember just like it was just ingrained that pure water was always going to have the best thermals no matter what. I mean, that may have changed now, but I don't think so, because just the way like it's one of those like awesome properties of water. But I know that like they were saying by adding stuff to the water, you're essentially like reducing its ability to capture heat or carry heat. And so I've always just kind of operated with the thought that, you know, pure water is the best. And if you can't do pure water because you could have bacteria growing in there, just to have some biocide. And I think the biocide I use is like from, I want to say like 2010 or something. It's just like this old water cooling store called Petra's Tech Shop. If you ever water cooled for a while, you'll know that name, because a lot of people used to buy their stuff from there. And they actually manufacture their own biocide, and that was like pretty much the jam back then. All right, so I don't hear it leaking anymore, so maybe that's good. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna try to turn it over. I have a feeling it's gonna just spill all over the place. Oh, this is so sketchy. It's like teetering. Okay. Yeah, it's hard to see on the camera, but like, I mean, you can kind of see it. Let me change the priority. So you'll see here, there's like, this is a clear glass here, and we're not really seeing like too much like algae, if any at all. Like this like grayish thing that you're seeing on your end might not be like, it just might be the camera playing tricks, but like in real life, there's like really not much happening. Like it's really kind of amazing that nothing has happened for like 4 years since breaking this thing open. Okay, so I kind of ruined this thing by not oh, I just cut my finger. Yeah, this thing's turning all at once. I don't want that to happen. So let me second, I'm gonna loosen this one up, and hopefully I can get rid of that other hose, because once I get rid of that other hose, I can remove the GPU altogether. And that was the goal of this one. So let me go ahead and see if I can turn this guy. Okay. Oop, wrong one. All right, so I loosened that up. Let me go ahead and put it down again, because I think once I remove it, we're gonna see some water coming out. That's kind of sketchy. All right, so I'm gonna reach down over here and continue taking it out. Yeah, so now it's definitely draining a lot more. You can hear it kind of, oh, you can actually see it in that camera too. Good. That's good. Yes, you can even see it in the camera. It's like, it's pretty clear water. The pan I'm using, I should have used a newer pan, but I don't see much residue in there. But the residue that I am seeing, I think it's from the actual pan itself, because I still see some parts that are dry with that same residue. So I'm gonna let that drain for a little bit. Okay, I think it's done draining. And I think I can't escape having some water on the system, but I just won't turn it on for a while. Okay, cool. So now we've got the GPU hose taken out, and so that means I can start unplugging. Sorry, I can start removing what's keeping the GPU in. So I'm going to start off with this bracket here. Let's do this one again. Yeah, so I'm just taking off this PCI bracket for the GPU. And hopefully we can get it out pretty easy. And then once we get it out, this should be faster, because I think it was just being held up by having so much stuff in the way. Wow, I didn't realize there's no like locking ring on this, I don't think. Okay, so we've got that, and let's see if more water will come out this way. And it is. Nice. Yeah, so this is the Barrow block. I'm still using the original backplate that came on the video card. I can't even remember if this particular water block came with a backplate. I don't think it did. So unless I just didn't use the one it came with because it was too big. But I don't see it. I don't think I have it. I'll probably have to like look at my box of crap to see if I do have it. And then so now that's out of the way, I could also move this PCI riser cable out of the way, at least out of the way on the other side. And then I should be able to now access this clip that was holding in this 24-pin power supply. I actually still can't get to it. Oh, there it goes. Okay, cool. Yay! Man, but look at how small I made this power plug. So again, this is the, I'll put it against my sweater or something to make sure you can see it. But this is the 24 pin, and I think I made it like way too short. Like this is like, I think, let's see, I have my ruler right here, but it's like less than, hold on, that's inches. We don't want to do that. Yeah, less than like 15. So I think that was way too short. But I mean, again, I think I was hunting for as small as possible, and I definitely achieved that. And then even the, so this is one of the PCI Express power cables, and look at how short this one is too. Like this is like, in my opinion, tiny. I've made some new custom cables recently. I don't think they match that. Do I have them with me here? Let's see. I do actually. Cool. Let's see. So these are the new cables I made, but let's try to compare. Yeah, so here's one PCI Express cable from the new one versus the old one, and it's like pretty drastic difference between the two. Almost double. Almost. But yeah. Again, I think for this one I was really I think it was my first time building custom cables, and I just didn't really know what I was doing, but I mean, it all worked out at the end, so, you know, can't be too hard on myself for that. And now, okay, we've got this hose out. I'm just gonna remove this thing here, and yep, looks good. See, there's biofilm You know, I should have maybe captured some in like a petri dish or something, but I think this is already empty. But you know, so this is the reservoir, and it is pretty clear too. But I did notice when I was finally when I had this on the table and like kind of looking at it, there's like crap on the ring here, and I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming basically like a little water was like seeping out like just over time. It just happens with rubber, and I'm assuming that it just kind of like collected dust where it was kind of seeping out, because I did have to refill it like slightly every once in a while, but I mean that was going to happen no matter what with any water cooling system. But I didn't really notice any leaks, but there could have been a leak, I don't know, but I mean not that I noticed. Okay, so I can finally get this fan hub out, unless did I zip tie it somewhere? I don't think I did. I did. There's some more, whatchamacallit, twist ties in here. Okay, let me see if I can just, if I turn it on its side, it shouldn't spill out. Here's the second PCI Express cable. And actually, like, all the cables that were in here are just this. So imagine this was powering like a 9900K and an RTX 2080 Ti, and the cables were like literally just that. So that was a lot of fun. Alright, I got a whole like rat's nest of cables for all the fans in here. Let me see if I can turn it on for y'all to see. But in this little corner, I guess this is where I did all my cable management to situate everything. And there's really barely any space to do anything in here. Okay, so there is a twist tie, and I'm not taking the time to twist it out, so it is getting cut off. No need to save it. If I can get to it. Okay. Boom. Get this out of the way. So this was it was just twist tied to the power switch cable and reset. There's another twist tie, but it's behind the reservoir, so that'll have to wait. But I want this thing out. Oh, there you go. There you go. So, and funny enough, this this fan hub that I'm using for the system was actually from like an all-in-one unit that I had from SwiftTech, and that SwiftTech unit was actually pretty cool because it was one of the first ones to use like the pump and the water block as one, and then it just had like a radiator that also had a built-in reservoir inside it, so it was pretty cool. I mean, again, it wasn't really an all-in-one. It was just a really like highly compact like custom loop from SwiftTech. But unfortunately, I think my pump died on that one too. Like pumps just die. Like it's just the nature of them. They're just kind of working along, and I'm sure I didn't treat it very well by having it like run. Like I did not treat this one very well because I had it running at like 100% all the time. Because it is like a smaller pump, and it's a weak pump. So, but I'm sure it probably exceeded their like their time to failure or whatever. Okay, let me see if I can remove some more of these hoses. I keep dropping the like cables inside the water bin. Oh, there's another. I'm just finding so many twist ties in here. So I guess I really liked using twist ties back then. So that's there. I'm sure I'm gonna find some more. All right, I'm gonna start pulling out these this rat's nest of stuff in here. Okay. Actually, on that note, I could probably possibly tackle the bottom radiator to get that out, and I think that'll help out a lot. So let me go ahead and undo the barb here, if I can do it. Okay, so that's loosening up now. I don't want to take off the hose yet because it's going to just spill everywhere. It should have water from this radiator. Let me go ahead and tilt it. I think this way? Yeah, I think that way. Okay, so let me go ahead and see if I can get this hose removed without seeing it. If you just joined, yeah, let me know where you're from. So we have Skyward King all the way from Brazil. It's always like fun hearing about where everyone's from. All right, so we got the hose out. I didn't hear too much water come out of it though, so that's good, I think. It means it drained fairly well. And this is why a lot of new water coolers these days, they have like dedicated drain ports. In that video, I don't know if you've seen it, but there was a case I made that was ATX, and I did have a full water cooling loop inside it, and there was actually like a not a fully dedicated drain port, but the pump I was using, the way I situated it, it basically became a drain port, and it definitely did make life easier. So that's definitely something I probably learned as time went on. And then now that we have the both the hoses from this bottom radiator are out now, and it should free up the radiator on the bottom. So let's see if I can get these out. Then I guess during this time I can talk about the case feet here. You'll notice these aren't stock. These are 3D printed, and I needed to do it obviously because there was just no way for me to fit the fans and radiator inside the case. Like I tried, it was even to the point where I was going to like Dremel out an area for it, but then I figured I shouldn't do that. Let's just like see what I can do by putting the fans outside. And originally I was going to use these really slim scythe fans, but they were just kind of weak, and I think this particular fan, okay, that's disgusting. Yeah, this is, well, I guess that's not bad. This is like 4 years. It's not, there's like a bunch of hair here, but I mean, for 4 years, that's not bad. It's kind of disgusting though. You can't really see it, but there's just like hair. Because again, because this was a small PC, I did move this thing around a lot. The handle came in handy, and definitely moved a lot. But I remember when this fan came out, these are the Arctic like P12s. Yeah, these were all the rage back then because like they were quiet, they were high performance. I still think they're a pretty highly regarded fan now. But obviously there's just a lot more options. I think I see these go on sale a lot now, but I still love these fans. They're like super quiet, and they push a lot of air. And that's why I went with them. Yeah. It's probably hard to see on camera, but there's definitely like dust bunnies and hair in here. I really thought there'd be more, because like I do blow out my cases pretty often. That's why there's, I guess, not that much, but I definitely missed some. You can't get them all. Gosh, there's probably like pubes and stuff in there. Gross. All right, so let's see. This should now come out. Let's see how nasty this one is. Because these fans are all intake, and so they're pushing air into the case. And that's disgusting. There's just like so much hair. I really should have done maintenance on this thing like at least once a year. I mean, if you have a water cooling loop, you're supposed to take it apart like once a year. But maybe that's why I use zip ties. Maybe I anticipated like a change in the system, but it ended up just staying the way it was since I first built it, I guess. It probably didn't help that like I built it and then we had the pandemic happen, and so I think that might have just driven the fact that I didn't want to touch the system anymore, because there's just a lot going on that's more important. And during that time, I think y'all can probably like agree to this, but that was like some, as awful as that time was, there was some like peak gaming that happened. And I can't get this radiator out. So I thought I could get the radiator out by taking the fans off, because that was what was holding everything in. But I realized because of the space constraints, can I turn this over? Oh wow, there it goes. Do you have any more? Because of the space constraints, I literally had to wedge the pump in between the frame of the case and the radiator. Luckily, it's not resting on the fins. It's just resting on the housing around the radiator, but it's definitely wedged in there. I could barely even move it even now. So it looks like I'll have to. The first order of business is actually getting the pump out. But how did I do this? This is like kind of crazy that I was able to get this in, to be honest. Because down here, like, a lot of these, obviously I'm using soft tubes, but down where the pump is, it's got like a 90-degree elbow and what looks like an adjustable fitting, and then another 90 degrees. So this is all hard. There's no like soft tubing in between. This is all kind of like a hard connection. I don't know how I got it in there though, but that's kind of amazing. I'm pretty amazed by it, and also kind of like weirded out. Like, why did you go through all that trouble just to like make the most complicated install? But I mean, it paid off, I guess, because like again, I was gaming on this for like what, 4 years. And that was kind of like non-stop too, especially during the pandemic. That was a lot of gaming. Okay, so the radiator is loose. Let's see. How can I... What I'll do... Oh, it's so much lighter. Wow, that's so much lighter. Oh my gosh. Before I was kind of like struggling, but now it's like, I think with all the water out, and I think also this video card was just super heavy because it is a lot of copper. But it's nice that I can kind of manipulate it a lot easier now. Alright, so I'm going to loosen these ones up and then hopefully start getting stuff out. But this is when it's going to get a little dicey because we're dealing with the motherboard side. It's always sketchy, but I mean, I don't think I'll be using this PC for a while, so I think if we spill some water on it, it's not going to be the end of the world. And these compression fittings are like not really coming out anymore. However, I think I can just kind of snake it out now. Yeah, so the compression fitting is like spinning all as a one unit now. But it's out. Nice. And the tubing I'm using is, I believe it's EPDM. It's like an industrial tubing, but I think you can buy this tubing like through water cooling kits and stuff. And I don't know what they call it, but essentially like you're just paying for like branding at that point. So if you can find EPDM elsewhere, like that's the way to go. I think I have like a bunch of rolls of this stuff in different sizes because it was just so much cheaper than buying it from an actual like water cooling site. So if you don't want a hard line, I really suggest the EPDM, because what's also nice is that this is rubber and not like a plastic. So like a lot of the clear tubing you see that's flexible is essentially plastic. And no matter how clean your system is, you're going to get like cloudiness eventually because it's just the properties of the plastic interacting with the water. Like your loop's not dirty. It just happens that like the materials in the tubing start leaching out and into your water, and it just looks like crap after a while. And this does not do that. And what's also nice is that because it is black, it does kind of reduce growth to a certain point because it doesn't allow light to like basically penetrate through. And okay, let me see if I can get this one out now. Doubtful. So now the entire thing is twisting. So you know, I'm going to turn it upside down, I think, because there is water in this water block, and I don't. Let me see if I can just turn it upside down. Oh yeah, there it goes. Okay. Turned it upside down, and then maybe I can start twisting this one off. I'm just afraid that if I take this one out, like water will just come, but I guess it doesn't matter at this point, because if that water does drip down, it's just gonna drip down onto this radiator, and the fans are no longer there. So I think we can do that. This thing is stuck though, my goodness. Hold on. I might need to bust out like my big pliers for this. Because normally this compression fitting should just kind of spin on its own. But what's happening is it's like spinning out of the barb, and I can't use this, it's too thick. And you know, I've yet to try like a hard line. I don't know like how I feel about hard tubing. I know like aesthetically it looks nicer, but oh yeah, I definitely spilled some on the radiator. Okay, this is probably all the I definitely should wash my hands after this. Yeah, I think that was like the residuals from the reservoir. But we're getting so much closer to getting this pump out, because it's really what's holding everything up now. At first it was the GPU, and now it's this thing. Okay. And the water block I'm using here is from EKW. And what's funny about this water block, I remember now, it was actually, when I purchased it, it was on sale as a server block. Like I still have the actual cold plate somewhere in my garage, and the mounting holes like only worked for, I think it was like those EPIC processors, and so there was no way to use it with a desktop CPU. But luckily at that same time, I think some water cooling company was going out of business, so they had like all these closeouts, and luckily they had a cold plate that matched the 9900K, and so I was able to buy that thing like on super sale, and essentially I got like a water block for like less than, like I want to say like $30. And then if you were to buy it like the way it is now, I think it was like over 100. So like I kind of scored on that one. Pretty happy with that one. I do remember that because I was pretty excited for it. All right, so we've got the tubing out there. Actually, we could probably get the motherboard out now. Let's do that. Okay, so let me go ahead and turn this thing on its side. And maybe we'll prioritize the top camera. There you go. Ooh, maybe we'll just go pure top because some of the other views are in the way. All right, so I'm gonna just shift this over so that it's more in center. All right, let's see. John says, if you do get some leaks, how would you get it dried? Air or heat, or just raw dog it and wipe it off? Well, I mean, you definitely need to start wiping it off first, and then depending on where it gets into, like normally if it doesn't get into anything crazy, like just like the surface of the component, you can just let it dry and it should be okay. Especially with the water that I have now, because it is just distilled water and biocide. There shouldn't be too much in there to like create like really strong like electrical connections. But it is advisable to like basically wipe it off, and then what's actually the best practice is to use alcohol to clean it up. And in the past, I've actually like submerged an entire motherboard in alcohol, because I did get water inside the actual CPU socket. And then after that, you do let it dry, but I left it in front of a fan for like over 48 hours before I even attempted to turn it on. I may have even done it longer. I may have put it there for like 48 hours and then just didn't deal with it for like a week. So I definitely gave it lots of time to dry. And it actually did survive, so alcohol, it is a water displacement thing. So yeah, so and the motherboard I'm using right now, inside here is it's from ASRock. It's the Z390 Phantom Gaming. I think at the time this was like one of the best motherboards you can get. Like I think there was ones with bigger heat sinks, but I think this one in particular just had like, the best value, and I think it also had like good overclocking. But to be honest, I don't think I bothered overclocking the 9900K at all. I think even with the two radiators inside here, it was still pretty hot in my opinion. So I don't think I pushed it. But at the same time too, like the gains for overclocking like something this fast already was pretty low, and so I just didn't really like look into it. All right, so it's so tight. So I think I was saying before that when I design my cases now, I put like 5 millimeters in between the motherboard and the power supply, because you'll get situations like this where like I can't even take out this motherboard. I mean, never mind, I could take it out, but it's super tight. And okay, so that's out. And I guess I had an Intel SSD in here, so it's like I wonder how big it is. I think it's 2 terabytes. Yeah, 2 terabytes. It's an Intel 660p. I don't even know what that means anymore, but I remember at the time it was a good purchase. I remember like not hesitating to get it. And I actually need to verify if I'm even doing this correctly, because I remember that this particular board has so underneath this heatsink there is another NVMe slot, but I think the priority was this one here or something like that. I remember like this was on its own bus while this one shared it with the GPU or something. So I think I may have installed that wrong, but I don't know. I mean, I didn't really notice much difference. And I think at the time I didn't even bother doing like benchmarks on it. But I'm going to put this to the side for now, and I'm actually going to take off that water block to show you some funny stuff underneath it. There might be some funny stuff underneath the GPU water block, so maybe I'll take that apart if we have time. Because I've already gone over an hour, and I always try to keep this short, but it ends up being super long. Alright, so now I'm going to remove this power supply. It's kind of in the way, and I think it'll help. If you see here, like I have to like kind of snake my finger through this hole over here to kind of loosen it up. I'm sure there's a better way to do it too, but right now this is working, and so we're sticking with it. You can see the water kind of like splashing underneath there. It's kind of scary. Now I definitely don't want to like drop this power supply in the water. I would cry, because I think I guess I mean, you could probably still dunk it in alcohol, like I said, but I don't know. That'd be too sketchy. And this is like a holy grail in my opinion. Like, look at how small this thing is. Let me see if I can change cameras really quick. Yeah, so I mean, like, look how tiny this thing is, and it can power like almost anything. It's kind of amazing. Like, I have another power supply that's being streamed to this computer right now, and it's like almost 3 times the size of this thing, but this thing can really hold its own. So this is the GOAT of power supplies, I think. There's a newer version now that has like the new power connector for like NVIDIA's. I do have a cable that converts that power connector into the new standard, but I mean, I don't have a video card that uses it. The 3080 Ti, the Founders Edition has that connection, but I don't have the Founders Edition, so don't need it, but I have it. Okay, so now we're so close. We've got the radiator kind of just chilling in there, but I think I can get this thing out now. Let's get it out of the way, because it's kind of just dangling. And the less dangling we have, the better, because it is kind of like splashing around inside the water bath, which is not good for it. Okay. Actually, so I take it back. So I guess like, I don't know if that's just condensation or film, but I can check it out later. We'll find out. Once I get it out, we can get the answer to that. Oh, but I think we can get the pump out now, because I just noticed that the connection from the reservoir to the pump is like an adjustable fitting, but I have a feeling it's just going to spill water everywhere. But I guess I don't care at this point, because everything that's kind of important is out, down here at least. I mean, I don't want to get these fans wet, But down here, the only thing here is really just a radiator in the case. So if water splashes out, oh well. Right, just sliding this out, it is just a adjustable fitting. And it's almost out. What is it stuck on? Okay, it's stuck on this thing. Okay. Whoa. Whoops. Oh, jeez. I didn't realize there was so much water still inside it. And it was so close to my power supply. Maybe I should move the power supply away. I'll go ahead and do that right now. Probably the motherboard too, but kind of have my hands filled. Okay, so we've got the pump. What is it on? I just put the pump connector in the water, so that's not good. But, I mean, it's dead, unfortunately. But this is the pump that died. Actually, is there even a model number on here? Let's see. It says it's a D-Sun pump. It was manufactured in 2018, 12 volts, and it's got 2.5 millimeters of head, which is pretty good. Head means like how far the water can be pushed up from it, and so being able to push water 2.5 meters up is pretty impressive for something this small. And again, I think I bought this pump as a throwaway so that whenever I receive new parts, I would like run water or even detergent through them so that it can clean it out. And so the purpose of this pump was really just to clean stuff and then eventually die. It never lived to be the cleaning pump because I was running out of pump ideas on what to put in here, and luckily this thing fit, and it just kind of stayed there, and it did the duty that all the other pumps couldn't do. Because I did buy like an actual DDC 350, and I couldn't find a spot to fit it in. I mean, I think now, like especially with companies like Mod Ultra, that uses a 350 or a 355 pump like directly on the motherboard, I wouldn't have that issue. But I am still trying to get one of those pumps. It's just kind of expensive for me at the time. So if you're watching Mod Ultra, I wouldn't mind reviewing it. I would love to review it and then keep it if I can. But until then, I do have, again, I have a DDC 350 around, and so I need to figure out how I'm going to utilize that, because if you've seen my other videos, I did have I had to use like 2 Alpha Cool water pumps in my ATX build, and even then those were like super weak, and so if I can utilize the 350, life will be better. Let's see. But the water looks super pristine. It does, actually. Like, I'm really surprised. For like 4 years, like I expected like literal like junk and boogers inside here, but like it's so much cleaner than I anticipated, which I'm really like surprised about. Oh, with the pump out, we can now remove the radiator. I think it comes out this way. I remember I had a hard time even putting this in. Cool, that came out pretty easily, and it still has water in it. Okay, so I drained that. But this is the pump I use. This is the TX240. And what's nice about this is that it's pretty thin compared to normal radiators. I think it's thin by like 5 millimeters, but it might not seem much, but in these small builds, like every millimeter really will count. And I'm just like spilling water all over here like a goober. But luckily there's nothing important down here, except for all the hairs that came out of the fan. God, that's disgusting. All right. And it's nice that even with this being so thin, the way it's designed, it's like supposed to work with really low flow fans, and it works really well for what it is, for small form factor builds. Obviously, like the thicker your radiator is, generally the more like efficient it is at shedding heat. But for the thickness of this thing, it does a pretty good job, and this will definitely be used in a future build. I already have a design I want to try out, utilizing 2 radiators again, and it should actually be smaller than this case here. Yeah, so Shadow, like I was saying, I didn't read your comment, but basically, yeah. So the next one will try to beat this in volume. So using both radiators and no longer using these little high heel feet things here. Kind of want to take them out. They're kind of, it looks hilarious when the radiator is not down there. It looks like it's just like sitting up high like a weird bird. But yeah, let me get some paper towels. Okay, we're so close to getting this out. Or maybe I spoke too soon because I forgot I think I have to take off this top panel somehow in order to get to the radiator. So, so I do see screws. Let me change the head on this thing. Yeah, so the next project won't include this because there's like a few more in front of it. But yeah, like if any of my Patreon members are here, they know what's coming because they actually just voted recently on what's supposed to be worked on next. Not that there's not many things being worked on, but like I guess the voting is really like what I should focus on. So believe it or not, like sometimes when I'm designing these cases, like I'm like working on like 4 at the same time, and I just kind of like jump between them whenever I get bored with one. And sometimes that's why like things just take too long because I just allow myself to get distracted. But I guess by having the Patreon members actually contributing and whatnot, like I should be more mindful of like what I should focus on. And so the next one is being focused on now, and it should come out pretty soon. Actually, maybe it might be possible for me to have it ready by the end of this year. So next week. So maybe next week it should be ready actually. Make honor at your nick, make a stand PC. Wait, what? Let's see. Make honor at your, my nickname and make a stand PC. What do you mean by that? Like a big PC or what? Something I can actually stand on? That'd be pretty ridiculous. But funny though. Okay, I removed 2 screws out of this thing. It's not budging. What am I doing wrong? Oh, there it goes. Maybe I'm just weak. I need to work out. I need to be like Optimum Tech. Dude's buff. Okay, so I lifted it, but it like lifted the entire thing. I thought it would just lift off this panel, but I was wrong. But I'm also wrong because I just realized there's more screws I need to get out. You know, sometimes I feel bad that like some of my designs have a lot of screws. But then when I work on like PCs like this, like they have a lot of screws too. So I shouldn't feel bad about having to have all these like procedures and processes to actually work with the PC. Like I just recently watched a review on the Lee & Lee, was it the A3 or something? A3, and that thing had like screws galore, and I was like, I mean, I felt bad in some of my cases where like there's just like screws everywhere to put it together, but after seeing that video, I'm not gonna care about that anymore. Like if someone complains that there's too many screws, I'm gonna be like, just look at the A3, and that thing's like one of the best selling cases right now. If you don't know what that case is, it's like it's a micro ATX case that can like house like a 360 millimeter radiator. It is pretty big in terms of like small form factor PCs, but it's like it's kind of like the go-to right now for small form factor PCs or medium factor PCs, I guess, because it is just easy to work on and it looks great. Okay, so let's see. Shadow says a really tall PC case for no reason. Shadow, have you not seen my video on the passive build? That thing was taller than me. So it's been done, but I can make one that's, I guess, more powerful. You're right. I mean, okay, so my Patreon members didn't vote on it, but I did have an idea I put up, which is very similar to what you're talking about, Shadow, and it's still gonna happen, basically. And it's essentially a continuation of that tall PC I'm talking about, the passive one, but this one should be more fun and a little more sketchy because it'll still utilize the tower. I'll probably have to print a new tower, but it's going to utilize like a different form of like cooling, and I'm excited to try it out because it is an idea that I've been wanting to try since like 2000 and like I want to say like 5. Like it's like I'm so excited to try it out because I can finally try it out. Because before, like I didn't really have the means to do it because the fabrication would have been too difficult. But now with 3D printing, like, it's just opened up so many things I can try out now. It's definitely going to be one of those builds where, like, no one's going to do it. Like, I mean, I don't think I even shared the files for the passive build. I even opened it. I said, like, hey, like, if you want to build this thing, just let me know in the comments. Not one single comment. Even though I think that video has, like, over at least 5,000 views, I think, if not more. And yeah, no one wants the files. So I guess, like, it's just more of entertainment. So I think the next one will be the same thing, where I'm not going to really intend to share it out. But if someone wants it, I'll probably put it out. But I mean, it'll be, like, super obscure. And I don't know who can actually do it, because it'll be pretty strict on the parts, I think. But it should be fun. I'm excited for it. If you're on my Patreon, I'll let you know what it is, because I did put it up in one of the votes and nobody liked it, but I'll just give you details on what the experiment will be. Okay, let's see. So we've got the screws out. So this thing should come out now without the radiator, but it's still taking the radiator with it. Unless this handle is blocking it. I don't know. Okay. Yes, pray that they would sponsor you with a CNC machine. Pretty useful, I think. I wish. That would be so fun if I had a CNC. What kind of screw is this? Oh, it's like a Allen key or hex. I just don't know if I have the space for it, because honestly, like, what you're seeing, it's messy now with all the stuff I put on the table, but obviously in the start of the video, there wasn't much going on. Like, it looked clean, but if you can see what's behind the camera and also around that the camera doesn't see, this place is like a fire hazard. Like, if fire were to break out right now, I don't know how I could get out. I mean, I could get out, but it would be like a lot of thrashing to finally get out. It's like so dangerous in here. I should really address it, but it's just there's just so much things going on. I just kind of don't prioritize cleaning, because I feel like the time I take to clean this place, I could be like designing a new case to share with y'all. But I'm just making excuses. I should really clean it up. It would make my life actually better if I just cleaned this place up. Man, I really crank these down. Normal maker disaster room. Yeah, it is. So luckily, like, I'm in the garage, and so, like, this is my domain. Like, I don't think my wife has been in here for like a year, I think. I think she may have come in and, like, grabbed her, like, workout shoes or something. Like, she keeps it on this corner, but all she has to do is open the door and kind of bend over and grab the shoe. But walking in here is, like, it's kind of sketchy. Like, you can, like, hurt yourself. But yeah, it is, like, definitely like a mad scientist room here. And this thing is cranked down. What the hell did I even use to, like, put this in? Unless, like, did they put Loctite on this? No, there's no Loctite there. It could just be, like, rusted, maybe? I don't know. But let's use some pliers to, like, turn it. It's turning the handle. Yeah, okay, cool. Got that out. And if Sliger ever catches this, if they ever find the time to watch the stream, again, thank you for sending this thing over. So when I finished polishing this thing and I posted it on Reddit, like, people were like, "Oh, you should buy the chrome handle," and I was like, "Well, I would, but I don't know if I really want it or, like, would utilize it all the way." And so I actually talked with Sliger, and I was like, "Hey, like, could you guys, like, send me the chrome handle?" And then boom, like, literally, like, I want to say, like, a week later, like, it was in my hands. And this thing's, like, hefty. This is, like, a full piece of aluminum too, and it's, like, chromed. Obviously, it's way more, like, shinier than the polished aluminum. And this has actually dulled quite a bit. There's even, like, the camera won't catch it, but there is, like, pitting in some of the parts. But that's just the nature of, like, polished aluminum. If you don't take care of it, it'll just happen, and I obviously didn't take care of it. But yeah, again, so if Sliger ever watches this, thank you so much again for sending this thing. It was definitely used to the max, because I played a lot of VR on this PC, and so you can imagine, like, I had to constantly move it around. Like, I'd be playing in the garage, or I'd be, like, playing in the living room. At one time I even played in the backyard, so like having that handle to carry this thing around was really nice. Like I didn't know how much I liked it until I started using it for that. So yeah, the handles are pretty clutch. All right, so now we've got, so actually it was the handle holding down the radiator. So now we've got it loose. Huh, but hold on a second. Can I take this off? I thought I could take this thing off. Oh, of course I'm missing some screws. Of course. So you've got, like, again, tons of screws. And so, yeah, I'm not gonna feel bad about putting too many screws anymore. If you've ever watched that video, I called it like the mini ITX North, and I felt bad releasing that one because I remember just like editing the video and just being like, wow, like I'm like installing like 48 screws or something. But now I don't care. I'm gonna go to like 100 now, just for y'all. I'm gonna be like, you know what? Lee and Lee can do it. You can't get mad at me. Cool. Oh, I do remember actually. So, it might be hard to see, but there's like nuts here that hold this top plate. And I do remember I had to take off those nuts to get access to this top plate to polish it. And even though this is simple, this is actually pretty, it was hard to polish this one with the tools I had at the time because I had an open space. I kept on like catching like either sandpaper or like the polishing like sponge I was using. Yeah, I mean, you could even see I kind of like gave up. Let me see if I can change the camera really quick. Like, let's see, 1 second. I'm gonna regret moving this thing. Let's see, where can I put it where it's not dangerous? Maybe here. Okay. Might be hard to see, but yeah, you can see it here. So compared to like the side panel, because the side panel has so much, oh, you can actually see the pitting over here. Do you see that? Like how, I mean, it still has the sheen, but like there's like actual like almost like white stuff on there. And I mean, that easily comes off by just adding more polish, but I am not polishing anymore. I hate that stuff. I hate sanding, I hate polishing. So, but yeah, so, but if you see here, like, even though it has the pitting, it's still a fairly smooth surface, but when you look at this panel here, like you can still see the swirl marks from the orbital sander that Sliger put in. And it was so hard to like sand it, especially because it's such a thin part. Like I just gave up and I was like, you know what, screw it. Let's just polish this turd and call it good. And I think it worked out though. I mean, it is funny that during that time, I think The Mandalorian was out. So like everyone called this like best car steel. So it worked out. I got really lucky with that, I think. Shadow says I can relate. Yeah. I'm sure like yours and everyone's like workshop must be like a nightmare. But I think that's the beauty of it though. I do envy those people who have like workshops where it's like clean. I'm just not that person. Like I keep my house clean so that I don't fight with my wife. But I think if I was like single, my God, I'd be like living like this actually. Like the whole house would look like my garage. Like there would just be like printers everywhere and what have you. But I guess that's one of the upsides of getting married is that you're kind of forced into being a neater person, unless you like marry like another slob or something. But then that's a different story. Okay, let's see. In the past, I was really into ITX builds, but with mini PC and they're so powerful, efficient, and so much small. I love it. Yeah, for sure, Shadow. Like even now, I mean, look at the sweater I'm wearing. Look at that. Talk about simping. This is it. You're seeing it. But yeah, small form factor PCs. Like I think I built small form factor PCs way back when. I wish I recorded some of them. Some of them were like really interesting, but that was like too long ago, where I didn't even bother. But it was always so nice to have like a small PC that could do a lot. And it really started off with like whatchamacallit, the HTPCs, you know, like when everyone the rage was like having a PC in your living room to like watch all your torrented movies or whatever, or play your games. I mean, I think John can attest to that, like being able to watch like Naruto on like your TV after you've downloaded it from you know, from a torrent site or something. It was just fun to have like a PC that you can hook up to your TV. And I think that's what started off for me. But I remember I did kind of go away from it when I think it was like when the components really got hot. Because back then you could get away with so much because like video cards didn't pull more than like 100 watts sometimes, and so it was just easy to cool them down. But then eventually, that kind of like that's gone. I mean, even now to this point, like I think that's kind of gone even today. Like a lot of people have to like undervolt to like make things happen. All right, so again, 4 years since I've opened this thing, and if you look at that top camera here, look at this. There's like barely any dust on this thing. There's no pubes on this side. I don't know how. There's no pubes. I'm just saying that, but the other one's just disgusting. It has like hair all over it, but this one's like super clean. I guess that one did face the ground, but again, I should have just been more diligent about keeping things clean. But these look almost brand new. Look, this has been like, man, like again, like 4 years of me just like constantly gaming, and like the plastic is like pristine. That's kind of amazing. And again, no dust filter. Like I did make a habit of like at least blowing out my PCs at least like maybe like once a week ish, but never actually going too deep to like take them apart to clean them. I'm really surprised there's no like tufts of dirt on the leading edges of this fan. That's kind of crazy. And again, like I game in the garage, so because this is kind of disgusting, I guess. Like there's like little tufts of crap here. Who knows what that is? Probably like lint from my clothes, and also like dead skin. But yeah, this is the contraption for the radiator and the reservoir. Yeah, so I think it is like it's I think it is just condensation, because why would there be crap on one side and then not crap on the other? It's hard to capture on the cameras. I do have the exposure pretty high on these cameras. It is fairly dark in my garage, but I'm really surprised of how clean this thing is. Like this should honestly not be this clean, considering the life it lived. Again, another TX240 radiator. And that will definitely be used in another build. Oh, and then, you know, honestly, I forgot where I got this reservoir. It was probably from like some Amazon like third party who he probably like just bought it through like AliExpress. But I'm looking through my records and I actually can't find this. I do have an extra one actually. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and remove the cap, because it's not going to be, it'll be pretty hard to see on camera, but there is actually like almost like calcification on the outside of the reservoir. So I don't really know, like if anyone knows how that can happen, let me know. So again, so like the O-ring is fine here. But how can I show you all this? Maybe the top view will have okay. It's kind of okay. Yeah, you can see it here. So, oh, actually, I didn't realize. Look at that. It's actually breaking. That's funny. Well, I mean, I guess I just didn't see this side. Oh my god. Okay, that would have been. Well, maybe it's a good thing the pump died, because it's hard to see on camera. Let me see if I can move it around a little bit. But there is actual fractures that are growing on the end of this. And you do see like gunk. It shouldn't be like calcium, because I do use pure distilled water. I never use like tap water or like quote unquote purified water. I try to use pure distilled. And the pure distilled I use was actually like scientific grade. It wasn't even stuff that you can buy from like Safeway or like the store. It was actually like made, but I don't know what that is. But yeah, it is definitely like calcification. I bet you it might even break if I take this apart. You know, maybe it's the biocide, Because the O-ring is disgusting too. I take it back. Well, I mean, for 4 years, this isn't too bad, but the fact that we have like some weird, it's not goopy. It's like hard, so I think it is like, it's like calcium. Look at that, it's like dust almost. That's weird. Well, I mean, it did its job, I guess, and I'm glad that the pump failed before this thing failed, because if this thing failed, oh my god, that would have been like, that would have been pretty catastrophic, I think. But it's hard to see on camera. You can probably catch angles. Maybe if I put it over the radiator for contrast. Okay, yeah. So do you see these little lines here? So this is actually the part starting to fracture. And normally you see that if someone puts like alcohol to their like acrylic pieces, because like alcohol will like destroy acrylic. But I don't think I put alcohol on it. Why would I do that? I wouldn't do that. But there's definitely tons of fracturing happening here. So it's really a good thing that the pump died, because I would not have addressed that at all. Well, I'm gonna read. I just saw something to see. Oh, pretty. I'm sorry. I've been ignoring the chat. I've been awful. Give me a second here. Move up. I'm sure I didn't miss that much. Looks nice. Yeah. Okay, so Jesse asks, would you ever do a stream or a video on how you design cases? I want to make a steam machine, but my GPU is 332 millimeters long. Jesse, so right now, I mean, maybe you can tell me how you feel, but I give my cases out for free, right? But I did have this idea. I don't know how this is gonna come off, but if I could do like a class, because I think sending out the files for free, I think it's all fun because you can just do it, and there's no like obligations. But I think for me to like actually teach people how to do what I do, I do find that like more stressful, and also like more how do you say, like I feel like I would be more burdened to like get it right. Like I don't look like a perfectionist, but I am very hard on myself, and so I think if I were to do an actual like quote unquote class or stream, like I would put way more effort into it than I do with these cases, because I don't know if you've read my stuff before, but like majority of my cases here, like even like this little red dude here, like I mean the way I look at it, like if you were looking at it from a production standpoint, like this is just like a mock-up. Like you would not even consider like this to be like in production or even in actual use, because it's just so rough. Like it's not refined. It's more about like learning something from it, and so that's why I don't feel too bad about sending it off, and I don't ever want to have people pay for it, because I the way I look at it, like I don't think it's worth paying for, because it is just like an experiment in a sense. But if I were to do a class, I think I don't know how you feel, but I think I'd probably charge for that. Like, I don't know. I'd love to hear what everyone thought about that. But I know people have requested it, but again, I think I would want to like really do a good job on it versus like what you see so far. Yeah, I would love to hear what people think, because that is an idea I've had. And the way I was going to approach it, actually, if you look at if you watch my stuff, I'm sure you watch other people who do 3D printed cases. Like, if you check out Maker Unit's channel, I think he has a whole video dedicated to just how he designed a case. And so that would be honestly like a really good starting point, because like I don't know how I'd even begin approaching like teaching someone how to use CAD, because like obviously I have like too many years of doing it, and but like where I'm at now is just because it's been years I've been doing it, and I don't know how to like. It'd be kind of interesting to try to condense that into like a stream or a class. Like, I really don't know how it would happen, but I definitely would put a lot more effort into it. So yeah, let me see. Let's see. I got more chats here. So the new M4 Mac Mini is a new top tier asset. It really is though, Shadow. Like I don't care about brands. Like, I mean, I have Linux machines, I have like Windows machines. Obviously, like we have like Macs and iPads as well, and we do have the first generation, not the first generation, but like the most like recent of like the M's. Like you know when Apple transitioned out of Intel again and they started doing their own CPUs. We have that generation Mac, and it's a powerhouse actually. Like some of my first videos were all edited on that Mac, and so definitely super capable machines. I haven't kept up with like their gaming side though, so I don't know, like gaming on Mac. But yeah, you're right though. In terms of power and size, the new Macs are like really good. All right, let's see. I missed it. So it's immaculate. Okay, you wrote it's immaculate, and then Shadow says, "Dude, HTPC. I totally forget that term. I know, right? Because like you don't use that anymore because now like small form factor PCs kind of cover it, and at the same time too, like why would anyone do HTPC when like every TV we have has like all the programs you need? You could even hook up hard drives to them, and so it is just like hilarious how like things have changed so much. Because I mean, even before, I remember during the HTPC times, like the idea of like streaming like high quality videos over Wi-Fi was like it was like a ridiculous thought. But now it's like we're streaming like 8K. Like it's just so funny like how like that's like now like a archaic thought of like having a PC to a TV unless you're like gaming or working or using it as a monitor. All right, let me see. I got some more chats here. Does the PC have a nice filter? No. So Skyward again, like none of my PCs actually have filters. I know people always comment about that, but I just don't use filters. I posted a little short of like my little air blower that I use, but beyond that though, no air filter. But I mean, having said that, like at certain angles, there you can see the angle right now. This is disgusting, but like it's like leaking. Look at that. But I mean, for 4 years, this isn't bad. Like I used to work at a computer store way back when, and we'd have like I'd like sell a PC to a customer, and they would come back within like a month, and oh my god, there'd be like dog hair and like soot from like cigarette smoke. So for 4 years of like actual use and being moved around, like literally like I've even had this like directly on the bare floor of my garage, which is just like exposed cement. And so this is actually pretty surprising how clean it is considering. But let me get this out of the way now that we no longer have to deal with it. We don't talk about this anymore. This is dead. And now we are... Where's the case? Oh, there's the case. Okay, so I think we've already dismantled this all the way. Maybe I can take off the feet. Let's take off the feet. And surprisingly, I have a 10 mil. But let me read the chat here really quick. That is really tight. It was, I mean, like the routing for this was like ridiculous, and that's one of the things I want to address for the next PC that I want to design that'll utilize the two radiators. Is that I want the routing to be like a priority. So obviously for this PC case, like Sliger did put like little cutouts here for like AIOs where you can't take the tubes off. But I think when I design my own dual radiator small format PC, I will try my very best to like prioritize the cables. This is kind of disgusting. Not really, but it is definitely like it's fine dust. But again, it's expected. All right, let me take off the feet and let me show you the original feet, because it's like it's kind of sad I had to make these, and it's also funny because during that time, I think the printer I had was like the it wasn't the Artillery X1, it was the Monoprice like Select 3 or something like that. Small printer, like super janky. I remember just hating like having to like level the bed on that thing. It was a nightmare. But at the same time too, like the printer just wasn't very good. Or so it's obviously like user error, because you can always make like a bad printer print fairly well if you give it enough effort, but there's that word though, right? It's like it's effort. So I obviously did not put in the effort, and that's why I was so happy to buy the Artillery X1, because it was touted to be like more user friendly. It definitely was compared to what I had before, but when comparing it to like the Cheetah Tech X1, like it is like magnitudes. And I'm sure if I ever bought a Bamboo Labs, I'd probably say the same thing too. But I did print out these feet. Let me see if I can maybe change the camera, because I'll show you how bad the quality is. It's so funny. Okay, you can see that. So imagine seeing this type of print nowadays. Like, this is disgusting. Like, why are there like seams on this thing when it's like such a simple part? Look at this thing. I even had to use a raft for it because like it just wouldn't stick to the bed. Let me grab another piece to like kind of compare to like. I mean, this isn't the best part to compare, but look at the difference between these two. Like, this is like silky smooth almost, and then this thing is just like disgusting. Look at that. Like, I can't believe this is what we used to live with. Well, I guess it's what I lived with, but again, I think it's user error. I'm sure if I like actually tuned my filament and did XYZ, like I probably could have gotten better prints, but again, that's like so much effort that I didn't have the energy for. There's just a bunch of stuff that came from with the case. I actually don't remember what these are for. There's a bunch of screws for sure. And then there's this plate here. I just don't know where it goes. No. But anyways, it's not important. But what I wanted from here was the feet, because it definitely looked so much cooler before I modified the feet. If you look here, like, this is the original feet, and this is the ones I had to 3D print to make clearance for the fan and radiator. But they just look so much better. Like, I definitely like ruined the aesthetic. Wait a minute, hold on. How does this go on? Oh, so I guess they embedded like the screw inside it. So let's not put it on right now. I think now I remember that was pretty hard to get out, because I had to force the nut out to get the feet off. So let's not do that right now. So we'll just have these exposed feet here. But actually, here's another thing to talk about. It's where I'm kind of everywhere, but the original case had mounting for two 120 millimeter fans. It was also kind of funny that they situated the fans not similar to like how you would have it for like a radiator. Like, they give like provisions to have the fans to work with a radiator. But here they purposely did not have the spacing to work with a radiator. So at the time I was living in like a really small apartment, and so like the idea of like drilling and like shaving holes into here was kind of like, I didn't want to do it, because again, I was with my girlfriend at the time, now wife, and it's like, like to my point before, like you don't want to make your living space like dirty, because it just creates friction. And so I remember just like hating having to do it, but like I just felt like I needed to do it. And so I left these fan holes intact, and then for this side I had to move the fan like towards that way, and so I had to like make new holes. I mean, it looks simple now because like it is just drilling a hole, but I did have to file this one open. Like, there was no way for me to drill past it because there was not enough material to drill, and so I had to like literally like sit there and file. But I think at one point I even did it like outside the apartment because it was just like creating too much like mess. But yeah, I think it's pretty funny. But check out the grill on this thing. You can barely see it. It's like the most thinnest grill. Like, even without the fans, you can kind of like shift it. It's kind of like, I remember like seeing this and I was like, what? I think I paid like maybe 200. I don't know how much I paid for it. I think it was like 200. I'm like, man, I paid 200 and I have like the flimsiest like metal, because they left like a millimeter maybe. Like, this is like hilarious. But once the fan was in, it was a lot tighter. You can see dust here. But yeah, that's the case fully naked. There's the riser. I think it's a 3.0. But But Slager did an awesome job with this case. Because I think even now, if they still continue to make their cases, I think they would still sell. I think people constantly ask like, when are these going to be back in stock? So it is kind of shame. I don't know what happened on the business side for them to stop. And I'm sure they have other like avenues of revenue or whatever, so it didn't really hurt them. But I remember this case was sick. Like, mad respect for Slager and the crew there. But let's put this away over here. And I know I got totally sidetracked, and I was like answering chats here, and I just kind of went off. Let's see. That's tight. Maybe the calcium created a helper seal even though it was breaking. Yeah, maybe. I mean, you've heard the stories of like engines with like really bad oil and there's like crud all over it, and then like, and it didn't leak, and then all of a sudden you take it apart, and because you've like now like dislodged all the crap, it starts leaking. So maybe that's the case. You're right. Have your solutes get to the opening and it gets pushed through. Yeah, maybe John. I think you're right. Like I think maybe it was like really just a bunch of crap in the water that finally found its way out. So I think you're right on that. And Shadow says, okay, members equals design class, win-win. Yeah, I guess from you, Shadow, like I think you're saying it's like reasonable to have like the charge on teaching how to design. Okay, so I mean that's definitely just one point of data, but like it's good to know that like from the just like the initial reaction isn't like completely bad, because I was hesitant to even bring it up. I've been talking about it with like friends, and sometimes like I think I've brought it up with Spiggy before, and so yeah, I think I'm still playing around with it. But again, I don't know when it's going to happen, because I really do believe it's going to take up way more of my time, because I do want to do an awesome job at it, so that when you do come away with it, like you can actually, you won't need me anymore, essentially. So I think that would be like the goal for that whole like course or whatever, is that like once you're done with it, like I'm now like I wouldn't say competition, but like you are now like another player on the board, right? So I think I would love to have like a course or a teaching session that actually like is like useful and something you can actually like go off and do your own thing and never need me anymore. That would be like the dream. But let's see. Ew, brother, ew. For the could be waterborne. It could be, maybe this little thing held like the latest version of COVID, and I just let it out. And if it is, I'm sorry, but you gotta do it for the stream. Wash your hand. I definitely will wash my hands, because this water here, I mean, it does have biocide. Like, I think this can, with enough, like, I mean, I guess with anything, enough of it can kill you, but this is definitely like nothing you want to be ingesting. So I forget what's even in there, but I'm sure it's not good. But I definitely will wash my hands, John. All right, wash your hands. Take my $3. Take my $3 third world country salary. Oh, Shadow, you gotta like maybe we gotta like we'll maybe if the class is available, we'll have like a deal, because I think you mentioned you're the one who did the video editing, I think. So maybe we can do like a trade, because again, I keep bringing it up, like there's like days of footage of this thing, and I just don't want to edit it. Like it's just so tiring. Like I don't know if you remember the case I made with the honeycomb wall system, the ATX one. My God, I think there was like 18 hours of footage I had to like sift through and cut and edit. It was just like brutal, and I don't have the energy anymore for it, because it's just like, with this new job I have, and like it's just not gonna happen. Like I'm just like burnt out by the end of the day, and there's no way I can sit in front of a computer again to like edit this thing. And so maybe when I have this class, it'll be like, like Shadow will get like a little freebie so that he can edit my videos. Let's see. No, Shadow, Shadow, don't give me money. All right, Jesse says, I think you could do both. A relaxed, chilled build with me, my thought process, etc., but then also slowly build it step by step. That's true. The thing is, though, like if you ever see my workflow, maybe one of these days I'll show something, but I mean, you're seeing it now. Like it's almost 5 o'clock. I'm so sorry, but but thank you for staying. But my mind's just everywhere. Like when I'm CADing, I'll have like 5 files open of like 5 different case designs because I'll just be working along and then like switch over to a new file to like try out something else. So I would if I were to stream it, I'd have to like practice a lot of self control because it'll be like kind of yeah. But it's a good idea though. Maybe it'll be light. Like maybe I'll just be like showing you how I like do like features or something. I don't know, but that's a good idea. So maybe we'll have like a premium and like a little like relaxed one, like you said. And that, yeah, again, that could be member exclusive, just like you said. And then Skyward says, yeah, he'd go for that. Okay. And then Shadow, you said, I use Hackintosh. You had an i3 9100F and an NVIDIA GT710. I can edit in 4K. It's insane. Nice. That's pretty neat that you were able to use NVIDIA for your Hackintosh. I thought AMD was better for it, but maybe for that generation it was better. Yeah, I haven't really kept up with that. For a while, I did want to try it out, but then I think during that time I wanted to try it out is when they transitioned to the M chips. So I was like, well, forget that then. All right, let's see. Of course, it's only for work. I have my gaming PC for all the rest. Yeah, you gotta have the gaming PC. And then you said, Skyward says, HTPs are coming back, lol. I believe it. I believe it. Now that consoles are becoming PCs, I think the next step to blow up is console PCs using SteamOS or whatever software will make it work. You know, I hope it does actually. That would be like awesome because the idea that there's like title exclusives for like consoles is kind of irritating because I wouldn't mind trying some of those games that only happen for like PlayStation or whatever and so I think that would be the dream to have just like no more consoles, but we'll see. Who knows? I mean, when you consider the fact that like the latest like PS5 Pro is like what I think we talked about this last time. It's like over $600, and for $600 you can build a pretty good PC. And so I think before like you could buy like an Xbox and it would be like a fourth of the cost of a good PC, but now it's really not the case. So I don't know. I think you're right on that. And then you said, Skyward says, I personally already love the freedom of having full OS and games on my TV with a wireless keyboard. I use Office PCs and convert them cheaply into emulation HTTPs. Yeah, that's a good plan, like to use old ones for emulation. And yeah, to your point about like wireless keyboards, this is pretty fun. And I also have like a little Bluetooth gaming one, so I totally get you. But you know what though? It's really funny. None of that really like resonates because I actually do. I game standing up. Like I don't sit down. So the idea of like being on a couch to game on a TV, like it just doesn't really like jive. Because even now, maybe I'll post a little photo of what's happening right now. So it's like freezing in my garage, and so I haven't been working in here. So I've been working in my wife's office, and I've literally just like taken one of those like lap desks and put it on top of a table that's in front of a TV. So I'm using a TV as like a monitor, but I'm like working standing up on it because I don't like sitting down. Like my back hurts after a while, and then yeah, I don't like doing it. So, but I feel you though. And let's see, how do you edit in 4K with those specs? Maybe I'm misunderstanding the power of the next generation now. It probably is just super slow, but I'm sure it gets it done though. I mean, at the same time too, if you're not doing like too many effects, like you can get away with a lot. And then Life and Hobby says, hello. And Shadow says, oh, Mac OS. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, to that point, Mac OS would be, like, super efficient at that. So, yeah. Man, so I've taken up all your time. I was going to take apart the motherboard to show you the CPU. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe we'll leave the GPU out and just focus on this because this is more fun, I think. The reason why I'm excited for it is because I remember during the time when I was actually dealing with it, like it was super sketchy. Like the idea that like this was like my first high-end build in like years, and the fact that I was like completely jeopardizing the entire build by doing it, like I don't know, but it was still like such a cool learning experience, and it was just tons of fun. And let's see. Let me change the view. But actually, if I'm taking too much time, if you wanna watch like a second part of this, like let me know. But I'll try to do this in like 15 minutes. But while I wait for an answer, let me go ahead and change the camera view so that you can get a better look at this thing. All right, so again, when I bought this, it was like a server, water block, and then I bought the components to make it into a desktop water block. But that also meant I didn't have the proper hardware per se. But again, I've been overclocking for like over 2 decades now. And so like the idea of like hardware specific mounting doesn't really like scare me, because that was just how it was back then. But essentially I had to like, luckily I have like so much crap lying around that I'm able to like build the mount. But essentially it's just like these screws I have here. I don't even know where they came from. They look like the same screws that came out of like the case, but I don't think it was. But let me just remove this slowly here. And I do have to be more mindful about this. Normally when I'm removing water blocks nowadays, I don't really care too much, because you know they have a integrated heat spreader. And then you'll understand why I'm trying to be careful with this one very soon. You probably already know, for the people who followed me. But this was like some of the sketchiest things I've ever done. And I've done some like pretty weird stuff, like it's not as common before, but back then when the I guess the Intel P4s already had integrated heat spreaders, but then when the Core 2 Duo, the Core series came out, and like heat was more of an issue, like we started like lapping our heat spreaders. Or was it even before that? I can't remember. I know I was lapping my heat sinks for sure. I have heard stories of people lapping the actual die itself, but I think the lapping of the heat spreaders was way more common back then. And so I used to do that stuff. So, I mean, imagine like we're talking about water being spilled on your components, but with lapping, you're like literally like putting your CPU in not only like water or wet situations, but like wet with metal flakes in there. So that was a pretty sketchy time. But I remember like getting so many gains from lapping. I used to love doing it because it was like instant gratification. But this is the mounting system. Let's see, that's hilarious. I finally understand your channel name, literally a stand-up gamer. Yeah, I mean, maybe you guys don't watch to the end of the videos, because sometimes I do show myself gaming, like at my gaming corner, and I know I didn't get many views, but like I actually did like a build documentation of my little like virgin gaming corner, and it's like, yeah, I just game and I work standing up. Like when I work sitting down, like it's like 100% guaranteed, like by the end of like 6 hours, like my back is gonna be just shot. Like I remember like just hating work because like it would just hurt my back. But then when I started doing stand-up like decades ago, or I guess more than a decade, but whatever. Yeah, like it was just like, oh my god, like I can like work for longer and more comfortable. Okay, so here's the thing I want to show you before we end this. But basically, like water block, and then boom, look at that. I know it's like more common. Oh my god, crap! Whoa, look at that though. There's like a lot of crap in this thing. Hold on, let me spill it out on my desk. But there was a lot of stuff that came out on that first one. But I think it was just paint from from taking off the barb. But yeah, so when I got the 9900K, I don't know what I was thinking, but I decided to remove the heat spreader off it. I know it is more common now. If you watch like Der Bauer, like he actually has like kits you can buy, and I think the kit I even used was from Der Bauer at the time. But for me, it was crazy because I think I've had like Core 2 Duos where I removed the heatsink or the integrated heat spreader, but it was easy back then because in between the CPU die and the heat spreader, they just put like thermal paste, and so all you had to really do was just like cut out the glue that was keeping it on, and that was that. Like sometimes you could even use like dental floss to make the thing happen. I remember the first time I did it, I used like a razor, but like it worked like easy. But then I think eventually they started using whatchamacallit, like low melt metal in between there, and that's when things got sketchy. And that's why when I did this, I was like really taking a risk. But I think it was worth it though, because even with the water cooling, I remember this CPU got super hot, and so I think taking the risk to go with the removal of the integrated heatsink so that the die itself could have like better contact with the bottom of this guy was worth it in my opinion. And it was also like a cool little adventure. Like I love tinkering, and so this is kind of like I view this kind of stuff as like the really like kind of end game of tinkering, unless you get into like the liquid nitrogen stuff. But when you're endangering like CPUs that cost a lot, like it's kind of just like on a different level. It's like almost insane. But yeah, I think I've taken up way more of your time, and I do appreciate everyone watching and staying and asking the questions and laughing and stuff with me. So this has been a lot of fun. I'm going to end it here. And unless you have any other questions, I'll wait like a minute because I know there's a little lag. So if you don't have questions, I think we're going to end it here. But while I wait, I guess I could talk about stuff. You know, I thought I used liquid metal on this thing. Maybe I didn't feel comfortable because I know that this particular frame is aluminum, and maybe that's why I didn't choose to use liquid metal, because I know for a fact that the GPU has liquid metal inside it. But I don't think we have time to take this apart. And I think I actually am going to make the GPU into its like air cooling form again, because I think I will have to transfer. Like I needed this so bad for one of my other builds. I just didn't get to it because I like I said, like I was able to modify this server water block to desktop, but in the process, because I found out that the mounting holes were kind of the same throughout all like the EKW blocks at that time. I don't think it's the case anymore. So I have Intel mounting and I have AMD mounting. So I can definitely get like either my 5800X 3D or the 5950X that's streaming right now to do that. But I think that should be it. So Skyward King says, no time wasted at all. It was a nice stream. Hey, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. And yeah, so I think we can call it good there. And again, I really appreciate everyone sticking around and watching this little adventure of me dismantling this case. And hopefully for the people watching now, you can kind of look back, and when you see the cases that I'm going to be designing in the future, they're going to use some of these parts. You're going to be like, oh yeah, that's where that thing came from. So that's the hope. And yeah, so I think we'll call it good there. And again, thank you so much. Again, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. You can like this video right now if you want to. And again, in the description, I do have links to my Patreon. So if you go there, like, it may be the first source of where the PC build tutorials are going to be. Who knows? But again, if you just want to support the channel, that is available for you there. So again, thank you. And if I don't stream next week, I want to, because I think I can get my case done already. But if I don't see you next week, have a good holidays and keep safe. And yeah, so have a lot of fun, and I'll definitely see you in the next one. All right, take care, everyone. And it always takes me like forever to like actually close down this stream. Stop stream. All right. All right. Happy holidays, Skyward King, and yeah, Merry Christmas to you, Jesse. All right, take care, everyone.